Every wound carries a message. Pain is not the enemy. It's the signal that something within you is asking to grow, to evolve, to become stronger than the version of you that broke. The truth is, pain doesn't visit your life to destroy you. It comes to rebuild you. Maybe right now, you feel like everything is falling apart, like you've lost your rhythm, your purpose, or your spark. But what if this darkness is not the end? What if it's the soil where your next chapter will take root? Every person who ever rose above the impossible first walked through the fire. They faced nights where silence screamed louder than words, mornings that felt heavier than mountains. And yet, they kept walking. Because somewhere inside, they knew that the pain they felt today would become the strength they'd need tomorrow. So don't curse the struggle. Don't run from the discomfort. Every tear you've shed is watering the strength that's growing inside you right now. You may not see it yet, but every scar is a seed of resilience. If these words speak to something inside you, don't leave now. Subscribe to The Shifted Self and stay with me till the end of this video. Because what you'll discover today may completely change how you see pain, purpose, and power forever. Pain is the universe's way of getting your attention. It strips away the noise, the distractions, the illusions, until all that's left is truth. And that truth is never comfortable, because it reveals who you truly are when there's nowhere left to hide. When everything is easy, we forget who we are. But when life breaks us open, that's when we meet the parts of ourselves we never knew existed. Courage, resilience, faith. Strength is not built in celebration. It's built in confrontation, when your back is against the wall, and you still decide to rise. The pain you feel today is not random. It's shaping the very foundation of who you are becoming. Every challenge is a classroom. Every heartbreak is a mentor. And every fall is an invitation to rise differently, not just higher, but wiser. There's a sacred kind of beauty in pain that only those who've endured it can understand. It teaches patience when you want to rush, humility when you want control, and gratitude when you finally see how far you've come. So when it hurts, breathe. Don't say, "Why me?" Say, "What is this trying to teach me?" Because one day, you'll look back and realize that the moments that broke you were the very ones that built you. Fire can destroy, but it can also forge. The same heat that melts wax hardens steel, and the same pressure that breaks glass creates diamonds. What defines you is not the fire itself, but what you choose to become through it. When life throws you into the flames, it's not to punish you, it's to shape you. The universe doesn't waste pain. It uses it. It burns away your illusions, your fears, your attachments, until only your essence remains, raw, real, and unshakable. The fire you're walking through right now is not your enemy. It's your transformation. It's teaching you how to stand firm when everything around you is collapsing. It's showing you that resilience isn't built in comfort. It's forged in resistance. Every scar you carry is proof that you survived what was meant to destroy you. But survival is not the end. It's the beginning of mastery. Because after the fire, something changes. You begin to see that strength isn't about avoiding pain, but about alchemizing it, turning wounds into wisdom, fear into fuel, pain into purpose. So when the flames rise, don't run. Breathe. Stand still. Let them sculpt you. Because one day, you'll realize the fire didn't burn you. It revealed the warrior within you. There's a moment quiet, almost invisible, when everything inside you screams, "Give up," but something deeper whispers, "Not yet." That's the moment your transformation begins. It's not when you win. It's not when the pain ends. It's when you decide that breaking is no longer an option. Strength isn't loud. It's not built in front of a crowd. It's built in the silence of your own battle, when nobody's watching, and you still choose to rise one more time. The strongest people are not those who never fall. They're the ones who keep standing after every fall. They felt hopeless, defeated, exhausted. But in that exhaustion, they found something sacred, the will to continue. Every "I can't" you've ever whispered was followed by a small act of courage that kept you alive. That's the real victory. Not perfection. Persistence. The moment you refuse to break, something shifts inside you. You start to realize that life doesn't get easier. You get stronger. And the pain that once made you tremble becomes the very power that makes you unshakable. Because when your spirit refuses to surrender, even the universe takes a step back and begins to open doors for the one who won't stop walking. When the world goes silent, that's when you finally hear the truth. Not the noise of opinions, not the expectations of others, but the quiet voice of your own soul. There will be moments when no one understands what you're going through. When you try to explain, but words fall short. When even the people you love can't see the weight you carry. And that's okay. Because some paths are meant to be walked alone, not as punishment, but as preparation. The silence that once felt empty begins to speak. It tells you who you are without validation. It reminds you that your worth was never measured by applause. It teaches you that peace isn't found in the absence of pain, but in the presence of purpose. Solitude refines you. It's the space where the weak parts of you dissolve and the strongest parts are born. The nights that broke you in tears were the same nights your spirit learned how to stand. So if you're in that season of silence, don't rush to escape it. Stay, listen, because sometimes the universe quiets the world so you can finally hear the sound of your own becoming. Pain is energy, and energy is never wasted. It only changes form. You can let it consume you, or you can let it fuel you. There comes a moment when you realize that pain doesn't just happen to you, it happens for you. It's the raw material of transformation. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every failure, they're not signs of weakness. They're invitations to rise stronger. The pain that once made you question your worth can become the reason you finally find it. The same tears that blurred your vision can become the water that clears your path. When you stop fighting pain and start working with it, something shifts. You begin to understand that your scars are not reminders of what hurt you. They're proof of what healed you. Pain sharpens your focus. It humbles your ego. It awakens the parts of you that were asleep. So instead of asking, "Why me?" start asking, "How can I use this?" Because that's where your power begins. Not in avoiding the fire, but in learning to carry its light. Every time you turn pain into purpose, you reclaim your power from what once tried to take it. And that's how warriors are made, not in comfort, but in the decision to rise above what was meant to break them. Perspective is everything. Two people can live the same storm. One drowns, the other learns to dance in the rain. The difference isn't the pain, it's the perception. Pain without perspective feels like punishment, but pain seen through the eyes of growth becomes preparation. It's not what happens to you that defines you, it's how you choose to see it. Every challenge carries two stories, one of suffering and one of strength. Whichever story you choose becomes your reality. And the moment you realize this, you reclaim your power. Life will never stop testing you. But the meaning you give to those tests determines whether they break you or build you. When you start to see pain as a messenger instead of a monster, everything shifts. The same storm that once scared you becomes the wind that lifts your wings. Your perception is the lens that colors your destiny. Change the lens, and the whole picture changes. Because when you start looking at your struggles as the training ground for your greatness, even your scars begin to shine. Rebirth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in the ashes of who you once were. When everything you thought defined you begins to fall apart, what remains is not the end. It's the beginning of who you are always meant to be. The self that is born after pain is different. It walks slower, but with purpose. It speaks less, but with truth. It loves deeper, but with boundaries. It no longer seeks to be understood. It seeks to understand. This is the quiet revolution of rebirth, when you stop chasing validation and start honoring your evolution. When you no longer fight the past, but thank it for the lessons it gave you. Pain has a way of burning away everything that is not essential. And what's left is pure. The person who rises from that fire carries a kind of strength that can't be taught, only earned. You are not who you were before the storm. And that's the point. Because sometimes, the hardest endings are just the universe's way of saying, it's time to meet the real you. Real strength isn't found in resistance. It's found in acceptance. Not in fighting what is, but in learning to flow with it. We spend so much of our lives trying to control everything, the outcome, the timing, the people, the pain. But the truth is, peace doesn't come from control. It comes from surrender. Not the kind that means giving up, but the kind that means letting go of what was never yours to hold. Acceptance is not weakness. It's power in its most graceful form. It's the moment you stop asking, why me? And start saying, thank you for shaping me. The storms that once terrified you no longer have the same power because you've learned to stand in the rain without losing your light. When you accept what you can't change, you create space to transform what you can. You stop wasting energy on what's gone and start investing it in what's growing. Acceptance gives birth to peace, and peace is the foundation of unshakable strength. This is where true freedom begins, not in escaping pain, but in embracing life as it is, and still choosing to rise with grace. There comes a moment when you realize you survived what was meant to destroy you. And in that survival, something magnificent happened. You became the light you were once searching for, the strength you built in silence, the lessons carved into your scars, the faith that carried you through the fire. None of it was wasted. It was all preparation for this moment. Because one day, someone will stand where you once stood, in the darkness, lost, unsure, and your story will be the lantern that shows them the way. You don't have to shout to shine. You don't need perfection to inspire. You just need authenticity, the quiet courage to say, I've been there, and I made it through. The pain you felt became empathy. The tears you shed became understanding. And the strength you gained became a gift you can give to others. This is how the cycle transforms. When the wounded become healers, when the broken become builders, and when the ones who once needed light become the very flame that guides the world forward. True strength is not measured by how much you can endure, but by how much light you can bring to others after you've endured. What you went through wasn't just about you. Every battle, every heartbreak, every silent night of tears, they were shaping you into someone who could carry a message. The world needed to hear. Strength becomes legacy when it's shared, when your survival becomes someone else's hope, when your scars speak louder than your fears, when your story tells others, you can rise too. The legacy of strength isn't built in grand gestures. It's built in the quiet moments when you choose compassion over bitterness, when you forgive even without an apology, when you show kindness even after being hurt. That's the kind of power that changes the world, not through dominance, but through presence. The unshakable presence of someone who has walked through darkness and still radiates light. One day, someone will whisper your story as proof that healing is real. They'll look at your journey and see what's possible. And that is the legacy of strength. A legacy not written in words, but in the lives you've touched simply by refusing to give up. Every story of pain has one hidden truth. It was never meant to end in suffering. It was meant to awaken you, to pull you out of who you were, and guide you toward who you were always meant to become. The pain you felt was never your enemy. It was your initiation, the sacred process that carved strength, empathy, and purpose into your soul. Without it, you would have never discovered your depth. Without it, you would have never found your power. Now, you carry something the world desperately needs, the proof that transformation is real, that even when everything falls apart, a stronger version of you is being born in the ashes. So let the pain you once feared become the story you now share. Let your journey be a mirror for others still lost in the dark. Because when one person rises, it gives permission for countless others to do the same. If this message resonated with you, share it. Someone you love may need to hear these words today. And remember to subscribe to The Shifted Self. This space exists to remind you that your evolution is not a coincidence. It's your calling. The future belongs to those who refuse to be defined by pain, and instead, use it to create light. The shift isn't coming. You are the shift.